Hello, this is Sifu Grant from Darsana Martial Arts, and I'm here to show you an exercise with the Jian, the Chinese straight sword. For our junior warriors who are learning the Chinese straight sword right now, I'm going to be showing a figure 8 exercise that is used in the form in conjunction with walking. And then I'm going to show the exercise with the steps, with the walking. This is also a great exercise for any of my Tai Chi students or any Tai Chi practitioners. It'll help you to get an extension of your dantian rotation, and you'll be able to see how relaxed or stiff your arm is. So this will really help you to learn to relax your shoulders, your wrists, your elbows, to get a little bit more out of your waist turning and dantian rotation. And it'll give you that extension so that you can see the way that your movement and force is translating all the way out to the length of the tip of the sword. Another great aspect of learning or using this tool is for the mind. The mind is commonly, when you have a tool like the sword, it's drawn out to the sword, and that is reflected in your movements. So you're no longer focused on your own center. Now you're focused on the sword. You're either focused on what the sword is doing, just the fact that you're holding a sword, and oftentimes, for instance, the free hand will just sort of be forgotten, become lazy. So it's a really great tool for you to focus your mind, as well as getting to really see the extension of your movements, start to open up your shoulders, elbows, and wrists in conjunction with your waist turning and dantian rotation. This is a metal sword, obviously, but it's not too sharp. It's just a dull, more or less practice sword, although it does have a sharp point. So it's going to start to give you a little bit more of a realistic feel for what it's like to wield a real sword. I have a wooden replica. This is similar to the ones that the juniors are using and that I would suggest for any beginning student. They're lighter, generally speaking, than the metal swords, and they obviously they're going to be a lot safer for you to practice with. You're not going to end up cutting yourself or poking yourself with them. So that'll give you the freedom to focus on the movement. So I'm going to show the exercise with the metal sword, but I just wanted you to get a chance to see, what the wooden swords look like. And these are really cheap. You can pick them up online or at just about any martial arts supply store, or sometimes at Asian markets you can find these. Just try to get one that isn't going to fall apart on you. This one was decent when we bought it, but it's old. So if you get one, try to find one that's pretty solid, because the really cheap ones, well, you get what you buy. Okay. First, it's how to hold the sword. You don't need to choke up too much. You don't want to put your finger over the top. You don't want to put your finger over the top of the guard here. You want to have your whole hand beneath the guard. And you want to have a relaxed grip. You don't want to grip it too tightly like this. You want to think more of like a paintbrush with this sword. This is a finesse weapon. It's a finesse tool. And so it's not held like a Conan sword that you're going to chop with. This is a slicing, stabbing, deflecting, sticking weapon. So when you're using this weapon, you have a gentle grip. It's firm enough so that you're not going to drop the sword, but it's gentle enough so that it can be flexible, that the wrist can be relaxed. And it's going to lay across your palm at a bit of an angle, not straight up and down, but at a bit of an angle, so that the bottom of the hilt sort of comes out of the back corner of your palm. And the majority of your actual controlled grip is in the bottom 2 or 3 fingers. And the pointer finger and the thumb are very light, so that, and the base of the guard is going to rest right on the knuckle of your pointer finger like this. So it has almost like a swivel balance right there. So when you're holding it, you may even actually be able to feel the very top just move ever so slightly, but the grip should be firm enough so that the handle isn't sliding around in your grip, but gentle enough so that the wrist is very free to move, because that's going to be important. The other aspect, the sword secret, is that your pointer and middle finger are extended like so on your free hand and together, and they're going to rest on your wrist, almost like as if you were taking your pulse, but actually up on the wrist, so that the two hands and two sides of your body are going to work together. Okay. I'm going to start by showing the exercise sideways, and then we'll take a look at it from the front. For the standard standing figure eight, stand with your feet fairly close together. You don't have to put them all the way together, but you can have a little bit of distance, about inner hip distance apart. You can put them all the way together, but that's a little bit more challenging for balance. Start with the sword, the finger side of the blade facing up or out, towards away from you. The wrist is relaxed, and you're going to draw the sword up and over to your left side, down, notice how it's straight up and down, through, and now the finger side of the blade is pointing out, but pointing up, but from the other side, and around and down. Notice how I'm turning my body, and I'm moving from the shoulders. My wrist is relaxed, but I'm not doing the movement with my wrist. The general formation of my hands and my grip is the same the whole time. And it's my body, my waist turning, my shoulders that are creating the actual movement. And I'm thinking about sliding the blade through. So there is no hacking or chopping. I'm always sliding the blade, and the point of my sword is always trailing behind the handle, always following the line of movement of my hand. Good. For our juniors, and for anybody first learning this, we break down the movement into 8 points. Point number 1, you're holding the sword with your palm turned up and even out a little bit, so that the blade can point outward and upward. So this is point number 1. The point of your sword is pointing somewhat down at an angle. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and back to 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Once again, I'm going to show this from the side view with the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. That's the figure 8 exercise. I suggest practicing it until you feel comfortable turning your waist without moving your legs. So it's the waist turning, the shoulders moving, And the wrists relaxed, but not as the main part of the movement, not like this. Everything moves from the waist, and the hands stay essentially, the arms stay essentially the same. And showing it again from this angle, or going the other way. You'll see how the whole body moves. This is not the actual exercise itself, but I'm just doing this so you can see the arms. So you can see the body's involvement, how much the body turns, and how little the wrist is involved in terms of creating the movement. The wrist is involved in terms of being flexible enough to allow the movement to happen and knowing when to relax so that the sword isn't sticking out at an awkward angle, but that it can remain vertical. So let's go over a couple of key important points. Key important point number one, what I just said, the sword should remain vertical. What that means is that through the range of motion, it's not sticking out to the side at all, like this, or like that. Right? It's not out here or out here. That's common when the wrist is held stiff. The sword will end up sticking out at various angles. So keep it moving in like a vertical wheel on the left side, a vertical wheel on the right side. And this will require you to learn how to relax in your shoulders and upper chest, turn your waist, move the dantian, move through your hips so that the sword can travel in its proper vertical alignment. And that way the blade is always slicing. The blade is always slicing and never chopping. Okay. Let's take a look at putting together this movement with the steps. Starting from number 1, as you pull back to number 2, take a step forward with the foot of your opposite side, generally your right foot in number 2. Go through 3, and as you begin to go to number 4, as you come through number 4, start to shift your weight, maybe turn your right toes out, shift your weight into the right foot, so that as you go from 4 to 5, you're stepping through. So by the time you're at number 5 in the rotation, your left foot is forward. Number 6, sink into your stance. 7, even a little deeper as you turn back. Then as you go to 8, you're shifting your weight, toeing your left toes rather, a little bit outward to open your hip. And as you shift from 8 to 1, you take your step. So the sword and the leg come forward at the same time. 2, 3, 4, my weight shifts. 5, I step through. 6, 7, 8, my weight shifts. 1, I step through. Let's take a look going the other direction. Toe out a little bit with my left foot so that I can step forward easily with my right foot. Take a step forward with my right foot. I'm still in position. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm shifting my weight to my right leg. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm shifting my weight into my left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shift to my right. 5, I step. 6, 7, 8. Shift into my left, and so on. Now I'm going to show this again without the numbers, just smoothly walking through. I'll show it once now coming towards you so you can see the movement and the verticality of the sword. I'm not going to count the numbers with this portion either. Here you can also get a little bit more of an idea of the width of the stance and the steps as you shift. Notice how I stay low in my stance and rooted even as I step. Notice how the sword follows my step, or you could say my step follows my sword. My body is turning the whole time. That's what moves the sword. Now I'm going to walk away from you and towards the other direction so you can see it from behind. Keep the sword vertical. Keep it close to your body. See how much I turn back? All the way, following the sword with my eyes. That's the forward walking and figure 8 steps with the sword. Practice. Hope you have a good time with it. If you don't have a sword to practice with, grab a broomstick. Anything that can approximate the sword. Just remember or draw a line for where you want to think your edge is, because it's important where the edge is facing as you do the practice. Other than that, have a great time and we'll see you next one.